So before we'll start, I just want to show you that the recording has been already uploaded for the day one. I don't know if you have watched it or not. So if you'll go to your dashboard, log in using your Gmail or whatever, then you have to go to this section and click on my purchases, right? And the moment you will click on my purchase, you will be able to see your course at this position. Just click on it, then it will under the day one you will find your recording has been uploaded. So please do check out. Also, especially for you, what I will do, I will share since this videos has been published on YouTube, but it's all these videos are private. So if you also want to watch it through the YouTube link, I will share the link for the video, but only those person who have these links will able to watch this video. Otherwise you cannot find those videos in the public. So let me just share it with you. I will just drop that link into the WhatsApp group, so all the time you can access those videos. The recording for the day one is already uploaded and available for you. So I will get the link and I will post that into our group. So how many of you have installed SolidWorks? Just write into the chat box if you have installed SolidWorks, because I have shared the link with you, and also it has the complete process to download and install SolidWorks. It has been explained in a very nice manner. So I don't know how many of you have installed it, but if you have installed, just let me know, like how was the process. Okay, so anyway, this session that we called off today is all about 2D sketching and constraints, right? In this video, we'll be learning how we can start into 2D sketching and how we can use the constraint tools and everything. Okay, Biswajit is saying, sir, I'm downloading now. Okay, anyway, you should have downloaded earlier anyway. Okay, so it's already in your company system. It is. That's great. Then you can simply learn over here and go and practice whenever you are in your company, right? And just give me a second. Let me close some of the apps. Otherwise, as you know, it will start crashing, right? Yep. So we are back into SolidWorks. So in the last video, that means yesterday, we have gone through the complete UI of the software, like how the interface looks like, what are all the areas, what are all the things, where are all the tools that you can easily access. So these are the things that we have learned in the last session. And in today's session, we'll be exploring the important things, like how we can start sketching into the tool, how we can apply constraints and the stuff like that. But before we'll move forward, I just want to give you a small, just give me a second. So if we'll just go into LinkedIn, I don't know how many of you use LinkedIn, but I am also available on LinkedIn, so you can connect me. You just have to search for this name that says 3DIEST on LinkedIn, and you can connect me over LinkedIn. We are also available over here. So we do lots of content, share lots of content related to mechanical engineering, CAD designs, and the stuff like that. So if you want to join me over there, I will be accepting your offers, so you can join over there as well. Now, if we'll go to our platform, just for this session that we're going to learn today, we'll go on to the digital products. There are few 2D drawing practice exercises available as well. For example, if you want to practice some CAD exercises or anything, so we have two different volumes available. The first is the volume 1 and the second is volume 2. So you can access those things as well. So here I will show you what is inside that. So inside that you have the complete practice exercises. So you don't have to do random stuff. You can download it, and those comes with detailed dimensions, drawings, and designs. So you can start practicing without going anywhere. So we have few 3D models created for you, and you can start practicing these models inside SolidWorks. So my screen is visible to all of you, right? Just write Y in the chat box if my screen is visible to all of you. Yes, okay, nice, thank you. So thank you so much, Biswajit. Now here you can see we have some complex exercises, we have simple models also. So all those things you can practice. You just have to download this free practice exercise just that I just showed. You can see on your screen. So it has two volumes. I told you the volume 1 and the volume 2. Volume 1 is much easier, whereas volume 2 is a little bit advanced. So you can check it out. So let me show you the volume 1. Right. So as you can see, it has more simpler practice exercises that you can start learning. Once you will download, you can practice this simple exercises. So it's loading. Just for it will take few seconds. It will load all the images. Anyway, so what we are going to learn today is sketching, right? How we can create sketches inside SolidWorks. And that's why I am showing you this simple exercises, simple drawings. So let's say if we want to create this exercise, again, I will repeat, just go to our platform, academy.3dice.com, the same platform where you have purchased the course. Just go to this platform, and there under digital products, if you just have to go to the digital products, and there you can find so many models, free step files, AutoCAD shortcuts, right? 3D printing guide. And if you'll scroll down at the bottom, you will find this volume 1 practice exercise, right? From there, here you can download that practice exercise. That's completely free to download. You just have to log in from your account. Right? I hope it's clear to you. So we are going to practice this drawing that you can see on your screen right now into SolidWorks. So it's a simple drawing, and by using this drawing, you will learn how we can make something, how we can design something as a 2D sketch first inside SolidWorks, because in parametric CAD software, everything starts with a 2D drawing, right? So we have to learn how to create 2D sketches, not drawing, 2D sketches. So I will keep it onto my side and will show you how we can do that. So you will only be seeing my SolidWorks screen at this moment. So now we are back into our SolidWorks screen. Just give me a second. Okay, so now we are inside SolidWorks. So in the last session, I already explained you, and also the recording for the day 1, I already sent you the link in the WhatsApp group. Also, you can access the same from your dashboard, right? So these will be available for you until 365 days for 1 year. So you can access all the recordings. So day 1 recording has already been uploaded. Now we are into day 2, right? So in day 2, in the day 1, we have already learned how to start a part file inside SolidWorks. So before we'll start, I want to ask you all a simple question. What is the file extension for the SolidWorks drawing file? Can you just write into the comment box? What is the file extension for SolidWorks drawing file? All of you, please write into the chat box. What was the file extension for SolidWorks drawing file? Are you waiting? Please write into the chat box, because no, that's not right. That's for the part file. That is also not right. .dwg is not right. It is. That's not right. So see, Sachin has written .sldprt. That's correct, but that's for the part file, not for the drawing file. Hitesh has written .sld.dwg. That's also not correct, because there is no file format something like sld.dwg. So the exact answer for this question is .sld.drw. .sld.drw is the file extension for the SolidWorks drawing file. That's why I told you to practice, and that's why I asked you to submit the assignment. And assignment was this, like you have to create a simple file, empty file, save it as a separate part file, assembly file, and drawing file, and share it into the assignment section. So if you any of you have taken the assignment, you could have known this answer to this question. Anyway, so now we are back into this SolidWorks. So how we can start a new part file? I will go on to the file option over here. We'll click on new, right? And then the part is already selected. So we want to create a part file first. So I will click on OK. And the moment you click OK, a new drawing, a new part file will get started. So as you can see, it's loading. We'll close all the unnecessary windows. So we have little bit of space Again, I am repeating, please keep practicing. Otherwise, it will be super tough for you to get started into the tool. The more you will practice, the better you will become into this tool. The faster you will adopt the UI of the tool, how you can create something inside SolidWorks only if you'll practice more, right? Okay, anyway, let's close it. We'll restart the tool. Okay, so until it's loading, I have another question for you. So inside SolidWorks, can you tell me to zoom in and zoom out what external button we have to use on our mouse, whether it's left click, right click, or middle mouse button to zoom in and zoom out? Middle, correct. We can use the scroll wheel of our mouse. We can use the scroll wheel of our mouse to zoom in and zoom out inside SolidWorks, right? And what is the tool that we can use to pan the design or drawing into our canvas? We have to do a combination with the one of the key from our keyboard. We have to press left key with the combination of one of the key from the keyboard. That's why I asked you to take a notebook when you are watching my videos, learning with me, so you can note down few of the settings, few of the things that I am explaining to you. So Control plus left, that's right. So we can use Control plus left to pan any design or drawing into SolidWorks. Yes. Okay, so let me relaunch the tool. Just give me a second. Since I have the cloud license of SolidWorks, maybe the reason it's giving me a problem because the tool needs an update. There has been some new updates has been rolled out, and I am ignoring that update just because I don't have the time. Usually it takes 1 to 2 hours to update the tool. So that could be the reason I am facing this issue, right? Anyway, okay, so we'll start the new part file now. It is still loading. As you can see, it's connecting with the server. We'll click on the new part file, click on OK to open the new part file. And this time a new part file just got started, right? And now we are into a new part file. So what is the first step that I have explained in the last video that we have to do? What was the first step that you always have to do whenever you have installed SolidWorks, whenever you have started a new part file? What was the first step? Waiting for your answer. What was the first step that we have to do whenever we launch a part file inside SolidWorks? Not select plane. We have to save our drawing. We have to save our design. That is the first step, because if the tool will crash, you will lose all your hard work. So the first thing that we'll do will save our design. So for this one, let's write it sketch, because in this video we are going to learn about sketching. So sketch.sldprt. I will click on save. So I had saved this file onto our desktop, and the moment I had given it a name, on the top in the middle you can see the name just got updated at sketch.sldprt. Now what is the next step that I told you in the last video, in the last session? That is important. Okay, so the next step, I always told you to check your units, right? So on the right bottom corner, you can check your system of units that you are following for this particular part file. So right now it's active as millimeter gram second. So that's right. Otherwise, if it is something else, you have to change it to whatever you want to work with. I want to work with millimeter gram second. So that's why it is selected. If you want to change, you can simply select and it will be getting updated. And here you can see it says mmgs. So that's correct. So these are the two important steps you always have to do whenever you are starting a new part file. Now we'll learn how we can create a sketch. So in the last video, I told you by default, the origin on the screen will be turned off, right? As you can see over here, the origin is by default turned off, right? So to turn on the screen, I will go on to this hide or show option and click on this drop down. And from here, I can turn on the origin. So I will click on it, and here you can see the blue origin is now visible on our canvas. So that is the first step before you start any sketch. Now, the next step, go to the sketch panel onto the top. Onto the top here, you can see under the tool panel, the first is features tool panel. You have to switch to sketch tool panel. Just go on to the sketch tool panel, and inside the sketch tool panel, the first tool is sketch. Can you see that? Sketch tool. And this is the tool that you can use to create your first sketch. Now, if I'll click on this sketch tool, here you can see the moment I clicked on the tool, and the tool is active as it is highlighted here, you can see, and the tool will remain active until and unless I will press escape key on our keyboard. If I'll press escape key on the keyboard, here you can see the tool is again not selected. So to reactivate the tool again, simply move your cursor onto the tool and click on it. So the moment I click on it, here you can see the sketch tool is active. And once the sketch tool is active, to create our sketch, to create our first sketch, we have to define the flat plane. And by default, in any CAD tool, in any 3D CAD tool, you will find these three planes, three types of plane. And that planes are front plane, top plane, and right plane, right? You can create a sketch on any flat plane, but when you are just starting your first sketch, when you are just starting your first sketch, here are the three planes: front plane, top plane, and right plane. So here I will select this top plane as a sketch plane. You can select any plane, that's not a big issue. In the beginning, don't overcomplicate the process so much. So whatever you are making, don't worry about the plane at the beginning. Simply select any of the planes and start your 3D model. Once you will have some experience and knowledge, then you can upgrade, then you can start following the right approach. But in the beginning, the more important is to get started. So I will select the top plane as a sketch plane. So I will simply click on this top plane. Yes, the Sachin is asking first, second, third, eighth angle projection. These are all for 2D drawings only. Just forget about these things. Whatever you have studied into your engineering drawing, those things does not make sense into this 3D modeling space. Just forget about those things. These things are only important when you are creating your drawing and placing your views, right? So whether you want to place your top view at the bottom or above your front view, in that case it is important. Otherwise, in 3D modeling process, those things are useless. Just forget about everything, whatever you have learned. Just unlearn your everything, whatever have you in your mind right now, and start learning over as a fresh learner. So it will be easy for you to grab the things and get started. So right now here you can see the moment I selected the plane, all the sketch tools are now active at the top. These tools were not active earlier, but now all of them became active, right? And now we can start creating the sketch. Also, on the left side into the design tree, can you see a new thing just got added that says sketch, right? So this also just got added because we are creating our first sketch, that is sketch 1, right? And this is a sketch work environment. Right now we are into a sketch work environment. And that's why on the right side here, you can see that says exit sketch. So if you click on this thing, we'll come out of the sketch work environment. So once we are done with our sketching part, and if you want to convert that sketch to 3D, then we'll click on this to come out of the sketch work environment to use the other tools for like 3D tools. But whenever you are activated the sketch, you will be seeing a space like this where all the sketch tools are active at the top, right? So you will be seeing the similar interface when you will use or do in your SolidWorks. Okay, so the Hitesh is asking which plane is good to start the sketch. I told you any plane, select any plane. That's not important. In the beginning, the most important thing is to get started. And if you'll complicate the process, you will get frustrated. So just forget about everything. Simply select any plane to get started in the beginning. That's not important. So we have selected the top plane, right? And the sketch is active. Now we have to create the sketch that I have just showed you few minutes earlier. And that sketch was this one. This is the sketch that we are going to create. Now, if you'll see this sketch, it is a combination of multiple straight lines, right? And also a combination of a arc. This is not a circle, but a piece of circle that is known as arc, right? Also, this complete drawing is symmetrical, right? If you make a straight line at the center of this sketch, the right half and the left half is symmetrical, right? So we can say it's a symmetrical drawing. So maybe we have to create only the half part of this drawing, right? But anyway, let's start with something onto our environment first. So in the first tool into our sketch work environment is this line tool. Here you can see we have all these tools to create different entities of your sketch. So the first is line tool, second is circle tool, then there is a spline tool, rectangle, arc, ellipse, text, slot, polygons, fillet, points. So these are all the tools only available inside SolidWorks as a sketch tool. There is nothing apart from this. Now we have some drop down attached with his tool. Can you see that these small drop downs? And these drop downs are like, if you click on these drop downs in SolidWorks, we have two different type of circles. Like we can create this center circle, or we can use this perimeter circle. Similar manner, we have different types of rectangles available. We have different side types of slots available inside SolidWorks. But I will explain you only the tools available over here, and your task is to explore all the tools that is hiding inside these drop downs, right? So that way you can explore much better, and then you can come up with lots of questions, right, that we can discuss during our next session. Now first let's create a line. So I will simply click on the tool. Right now you can see we are inside the sketchwork environment, that's why it's selected. Now we'll simply click on the tool to activate, and the moment I will click on the tool, here you can see my cursor also got changed, right? Now it's acting like a pencil, by using which we can create our first line, right? And to create any line, what we need 2 points, right? The start point and the end point, and a line will be created, right? So we have to define 2 points. So if I'll move my pencil or this cursor onto a screen, here you can see it is automatically snapping onto the center all the time. Here you can see. So that's why the origin is given, and origin is fixed in the space. So if we click on the origin to create our first line entity sketch into this SolidWorks, so I will click on the center, and I can move my cursor after clicking to define the end point of the line. Now I can create a line like this, horizontal line. I can create line like this, vertical line, and I can create line at any angle also. So we are completely free. So there you can see the moment I am moving my cursor at any angle, it's only giving me the number values, the length of the line, right? If I'll move my cursor to the horizontal orientation, automatically you can see a small yellow horizontal icon attached with the pencil, right? So if I'll in this orientation, if I'll create something, that line will be completely horizontal. Now if I'll move my line towards the top, here you can see it's automatically snapping and giving me a signal that at this moment, if I'll create a line, that will be completely vertical line, right? That will be completely vertical line. But let's say I want to create line at some other angle, any angle, random angle. So I will click anywhere over here, right? And the moment you're done creating line tool is still active. And now if you need only this segment of line, then you can press on your keyboard, escape on your keyboard. And now here you can see I am back with the default state of our cursor and the line we just created. Now this line, we don't know the value. We don't know the length of this line, right? So Sachin is saying that we have to start from anywhere. That's why. Yes, we can start from anywhere. Not important from the origin. We can start from anywhere. But when you are creating your first sketch, at least start one end of your line from the origin. So you have to define lesser. For example, in 3D space, when you are creating something, you have to define its coordinate systems to define its position, right? So since origin is already the 0, 0 coordinate, sitting at 0, 0 coordinate, that's why I started from this end. So this end is already defined. To define the length, we just have to give the length of this line, right? So right now this line, if I'll select this line, if I'll click on this line to select, and the moment I will click on it to select, on the left side, you can see all of its properties. So these are all the properties of this line. Can you see that? Also at the bottom, can you see the length of the line? That says 62.93 millimeter, right? And that is not something we needed. We needed a line of 50 millimeter, let's say. So in that case, what we have to do? We have to redefine the length of this line, right? And the first thing, before we'll redefine the length of this line, we also want this line to be completely horizontal. Right now, it's not horizontal. It's like towards the bottom at some angle from the horizontal, right? So to make this line horizontal, we have to apply a constraint. So remember, now we are talking about constraints also. So constraint word inside SolidWorks and sketch word inside SolidWorks, they are like a brother. So when you are working in a sketchwork environment, you also have to have knowledge about the different constraints available inside SolidWorks. So if I'll select this line, on the left side in the line properties panel, can you see these three relations? And the relations are known as constraints. So whenever I am saying constraints, you have to understand that I'm talking about relations. So right now for this line, we are getting three kind of relation. This line we want to make it horizontal, right? So there is horizontal relation available. So I will simply click on this horizontal relation, and you can see the line just became horizontal, right? So what I did, I had selected this line and I had applied a horizontal relation to it, right? And since this is what we needed, I will simply click on finish, and this is my line, first line that we created, right? And the line color of this line, let me go one step back by pressing Ctrl plus Z onto a keyboard. So here you can see right now the color of this line was blue, right? It is blue right now. And the moment we'll make it horizontal, can you see the color of the line became black? This means earlier the line was not defined. The orientation of the line was not defined. But the moment we have applied the horizontal constraint, now the line is completely defined, right? The other end of the point, the end point of the line is still blue. Can you see that? Because that point is still not defined. Why? Because we had not defined the length of the line. Still, if you click on this point, we can increase or decrease the length of this line. Here you can see that we can simply drag it, because we have not defined any length for this line until now. So to define the line, the next feature that we have to use is the dimension tool, right? And that tool you can find here. That says smart dimension just onto the side of this your sketch tool. That tool is smart dimension. Activate this tool, right? I activated the tool, and you can see a small dimension icon is attached with my cursor. Now if I'll click on the line, you can click anywhere onto this line. Like the moment you will move your cursor onto the line, you can see it's getting highlighted. So you can click anywhere onto this line, you can drag outside, right? And you can enter the values that you want, right now this line is 32.969932887, something very random number, right? But we want exactly 50 millimeter. So what we'll do, we'll enter the value 50, because units are already, we have defined millimeters, so you don't have to enter the prefix that is millimeter. Simply put the numbers and press enter, and the moment we'll press enter, you can see the line length just got updated to 50. Now if we'll select the line, at the bottom you can say it's 50 millimeter, right? And also all the color of this line just became black. And also at the bottom, can you see this symbol that says fully defined? This means now you cannot add further dimension to this sketch entity. Now it is fully defined. Fully defined means whatever the information needed to define this drawing, we have already provided. Now let's say this is the baseline. Now in this same sketch, let's add few more features. So again, we'll activate the line tool. We'll create a line like this, vertical line like this. I will create again a line connecting to this point like this. There you can see. So what I did, I created a closed space, right? Closed profile. Now this is acting like a triangle. Now these points are still not defined, right? So I can drag it anywhere, right? Like this. But since this, if you'll select this line, can you see this small green perpendicular icon? And if you'll go to the properties of this line, if you'll select this line and go to the properties, the vertical constraint is by default applied, right? So since vertical constraint is by default applied, we cannot make this line anywhere at angle. We can only move it up and down, right? Now to define the dimension of this line, what we have to do, we have to again activate the smart dimension tool, and we'll click on the line, drag outside, and let's say this time it's 30 millimeters. So we'll enter the value 30, and the moment we define this side and this side of the triangle, and since it's a, what kind of triangle it is, can you just write into the chat box? What is the kind of rectangle where the two sides are at 90 degree? Right angle triangle. Perfectly right. So right now this is a right angle triangle. That's why to define a right angle triangle, you only need these two values. And accordingly, you can find the length of this line using the Pythagoras theorem. And if you click on this line, you don't have to apply the Pythagoras theorem. You can simply check the length over here. And now if you calculate it using your Pythagoras theorem, you will find the same exact answer, right? So here you can see we have created a simple triangular sketch inside SolidWorks. Now let's add some circle into this drawing as well. Now to create any circle into this drawing, simply go back to the sketch panel and here activate your center circle tool. So if you'll change the circle to perimeter circle, that's not right. Always use this center circle tool and click on the tool to activate once the tool is active, can you see the circle is attached with your cursor? Right. Now, let's say I want to create circle. I can create circle anywhere. I can create circle here, or I can create circle at this midpoint of the line, or I can create circle at the end point of this shape. So I can create circles anywhere. I can create multiple circles. I can create circles of different size in a single sketch. That's completely onto us, right? So right now you can see this is the first circle we created. Now we started this circle using the origin point, right? And we had created a circle of random diameter, random radius. We don't know the radius at this moment. So what we can do to define the radius or diameter of the circle, the same tool, smart dimension tool. Activate this smart dimension tool from the list. Click on the circle perimeter, anywhere on the circle perimeter, click on it, drag outside, and then here you can see it's asking you the diameter value that you want to keep. Let's say I want to keep 25. I'll press 25, and you can see the size got updated. And all the time you have the freedom to edit these numbers. You can just double click on the number and make it 30. So it will be getting updated. So you have the full control. The moment I have defined the diameter, there you can see the circle just got, color just got changed to black because the origin was already defined. We only defined the diameter for this circle. And these dimensions are just for your visualization purpose, so you can place it anywhere. These are not for the drawings. These are just acting as a reference dimensions, so you can keep it anywhere, even inside the sketch. But I prefer to use it always outside the sketch because the close profiles are always grayed out, and it's little tough if the dimensions are inside this area. It's little tough to read, so that's why I always keep them outside from our drawing. Now here for this circle, as you can see, the diameter is not defined, so I can adjust its value just by dragging its perimeter. But if I want to define the dimension for this circle again, we'll activate the smart dimension tool. We'll click on the perimeter of the circle, and then I can input the value. Let's say I want to keep 20, so I will press 20 and enter. And for this circle also, this circle we have to define multiple things. The first thing is, let's say first define the diameter of this circle. And now here we'll learn the next constraint. First select the circle. Now you can see the properties of this circle onto the left, right? All the properties. Now in the relation, can you see that it says first fix your circle, because this circle is not fixed. So if you click on the origin here, you can see you can place it anywhere because the position of this origin is not defined. Right. And to define the position of this origin, what we can do, we can activate the smart dimension tool, and we can start from the origin. We'll click on the origin, and then we'll click on the center of the circle, and we'll drag our cursor outside like this. So vertically, we want to give the position of the center of the circle as 25. So I can enter the value 25 here. You can see. We also have to define the horizontal distance. So again, we'll select the origin, this, and let's say we'll make it 50. Right. So what we did, we had defined the position of this circle. Now if we'll click on the circle and we'll see the properties, again it says fix. This means this is not defined, the diameter of the circle. So what we'll do, we'll activate the smart dimension. We'll click on the diameter and we'll make it 30. We'll press enter. Or whatever dimension you want to use, you can use it, right? Let's not make it 30, let's make it 35. So I can make it, right? Here you can see it just got updated. And the moment I have made everything black into my drawing, this means I have defined each entities into my sketch. The moment it just got fully defined. So whenever you are doing any sketches to create your 3D models inside SolidWorks, always define all the entities inside your SolidWorks. Make sure that your sketches are fully defined. Otherwise, when you will start working on big assemblies, big parts that have multiple sketches, you will start facing problems. So it is information. So yes, to update the dimension, very simple. Just double click on the dimension. The box will open to modify. Change the value, let's say 40, make an enter. That's it. Very easy. Just double click on any dimension, enter the new value, press enter. So if it is not fully defined, what will happen, like whenever you will work with big assemblies where you have multiple drawings, multiple sketches, multiple 3D features, then whenever you will make changes, the other things will just get messed up. Because sometimes when we create sketches, I will show you why it is important in the tomorrow session when we'll start converting our sketches to 3D. Like if you'll not define the sketch, what problems it can bring. That's why I'm saying you, for now, you just follow what I'm saying. And In the next session, you will have clear idea about that thing, like why I'm saying this, right? Anyway, but remember what I'm saying today. Now let's edit this dimension also. Let's make it 40. You can see the sketch is updating. Quick updates we can make, right? Now, there is one thing, right? If we'll delete these dimensions, let's delete this number 15 now. Now, if let's say I want this circle to be touching to this line. I mean, I want to make this circle tangent to this line, right? So how we can do that? For that, we have to apply the new relation between these two entities, and that relation will be tangent. And where you can find that relation, the moment you will select your circle, press shift on your keyboard and also select the line. So what I did, I had selected both the entities by pressing shift on my keyboard. If you want to select multiple entities, you have to press shift. Otherwise, if you just want to select one entity, you can simply click on the entity, it will get selected, right? But if you want to select multiple entities, you have to press shift on your keyboard and then select both the entities. And here you can see I selected both the entities, this circle and this line, and that you can verify over here. This arc and this line, it's selected. And if you'll come to the bottom, it is already giving you an option to apply a new relation, that is tangent. So the moment I will click on tangent, here you can see circle just got moved and now it is tangent to this line. And since this is what we needed, I will simply click on this close dialog, right? And this tangent just got applied, right? So even if we'll delete this dimension also, let's select the dimension and press delete on your keyboard to delete any dimension. So even if we'll delete the dimension, you can see if we'll try to move the circle, it is always touching to this line, right? Why we are able to move? Because we had not defined the vertical height, vertical position of this origin. That's why we are able to move. But we have applied a relation between these two lines, and that relation is tangent, and that you can verify all the time. If you'll select the entities, you can see we have applied existing relation that is being applied between these two objects is the tangent relation, right? So let's again reactivate the dimension tool, and let's reactivate the dimension tool and select the origin. Select the origin for the circle, drag outside and enter the value 25, right? So this way you can use relation between the objects, and this is how you can use line and circle tool, right? So very simple sketch we have created, nothing very unique into this one. So until now, any questions, guys? If you have any questions till now, let me know, or else just write N into the chat box. Great. Things are very easy. Once you will start doing these things into your PC, into your SolidWorks, you will find it's very easy to get started into the tool, right? All those years you have not started just because you thought SolidWorks is super hard, but it's very easy. Any tool is easy because these tools are all made to make your work easier, and these are made for the humans only, made for the designers only. So if you have the basic knowledge about design, if you have a studied engineering drawing or whatever, you can simply start learning this tool, because nothing can be nothing is like a rocket science. It's just simple tools. You just have to learn how to click on different tools and features. That's it. So now you can see we have created this sketch. Now the next tool into our list is this rectangle tool, right? So here we created a triangle, right? And now we'll be learning this center rectangle tool. So even the icon itself explains a rectangle at the center, center point at the rectangle center. This means it's a center rectangle tool. So if we'll activate the center rectangle tool, my tool is active, as you can see. So if I'll click anywhere onto our canvas, because this canvas is infinite. If we'll zoom out and zoom in, you will see this canvas is infinite in space. So you can create anywhere. So let's say if I'll create somewhere closer to this sketch over here, so I first have to define the center point of our rectangle. So I can click first to create the center point. Then I can drag outside and I can create rectangle, simple rectangle. So don't worry about the dimension at this moment. Simply create a rectangle, anything, any size you can create. Like, so let's say I click next point and the rectangle got created, right? Now to define the size of this rectangle, what tool we have to use? Just write into the chat box what tool we have to use to define the size of this rectangle. I'm waiting. Smart dimension, correct. Smart dimension. So we'll activate the smart dimension tool. And to activate this smart dimension tool, we also have the keyboard shortcut. So if you'll press D on your keyboard, the keyboard shortcut is not working. Anyway, you can activate it from here. It's not very tough. Simply click on the tool to activate the smart dimension tool. And then click on to define a rectangle. You need two dimensions, right? The first is the width of the rectangle, and second is the length of the rectangle. Length and width you will need to define any rectangle, right? So first I will click any of the side. Let's say this one I will drag outside, and this one I want to keep 50. So I will enter the value number 50 from my keyboard and will press enter. So what we did, we have created a 50 length, and let's make width as 30. So here you can see what we did, we created the rectangle, but this rectangle is still blue. Why? Because the position of this rectangle is not defined. With the same dimensions, we can move it anywhere across the space, right? Because we have to define at least one corner point of the rectangle with respect to this fixed objects, right? So if someone will ask you, what is the distance of this rectangle from the origin? Can you tell them? No, because we have not defined. Now, if I add this dimension from here to this side, and let's add it 40. So now, can any one of you tell me what is the distance of this rectangle from the origin? This side, how much it is distance from the origin? Origin of our space, how much it is away? Can you tell me that number? Not 25. If this is the origin, the horizontal distance is 40 plus 40. Yes, it is. That is 80 millimeter. That's why you have to define, always start from the origin. That's why I said to define the position of your object into this infinite space. I told you this canvas is infinite. So all the time you have to define your object's position with respect to origin. Otherwise, it will not be becoming fully defined. Even if you define its complete dimension, and if you are not defining its position with respect to the origin, it is not fully defined. So let's add other dimension. Let me add from this point to this point. If we'll add this value, let's make it 10. Now, can you tell me how much it is vertically above? This is how much it is vertically above with respect to the origin. I'm waiting. How much it is vertical? If this is the origin, how much the bottom side is above from the origin? That's not. See, I have defined from this point, and from origin to this point, it is 30, right? Correct, it is. And from 30, we have to minus this 10. So the position of this one is 20. That's completely right. So, and the moment we have defined these two positions, you can see this is fully defined, and also the length is 50, right? Now, it's not important that all the time you define from the origin only. You can define from any of the fixed point or the defined points, right? So if we'll change this one, let's make it 30. So you can see the other things are also updating. The position of this object is also updating. So the position of this corner point is also dependent upon these values. So if we'll define directly from the origin, then it will not be dependent on this one. So it's completely on to you, like how you want to define these things, because in our some drawing features or design features, we want some features to be dependent on others as well. That's why defining everything into your sketch is important. But this is how you can create rectangle, right? So now all the time you have the option, like if you want to make this 130, you can make it, and you can make it this 150. You can just double click on it and make it, right? We can update things as per our need, and this is how we can create our sketches. So we have learned how we can use line tool, circle tool, rectangle tool. Now the next tool into our list is this 3-point arc tool, right? So if we'll expand, you can see there are multiple kind of arc tool, right? And always I prefer to use this 3-point arc tool. And even in the icon itself, you can see it says 3 points on arc, right? So always use this 3-point arc tool. And the moment you will activate the tool, let's activate the tool. Now, from the name itself explain, to define this arc, to create this arc, you will need 3 points, right? You will need 3 points. So let's create this arc. Let's say I want to create arc between these point and these point. So I will click first onto this point, then I will click second point onto this point, and then I can define any point wherever I need to create this arc. Now here you can see we created this arc. Now we'll use the smart dimension tool. We'll click on the arc perimeter and we'll define its radius, because arcs also only can be defined with its radius. So I will plus 30. So now you can see this arc is now again defined, because these 2 points were already fixed. We only have to provide the radius, and the moment we provided the radius, now this arc also became fully defined, right? So here you can see. Now this is how you can create the arc tool, the most simpler one. Now the next tool that is into your list is this slot tool. So this slot tool is nothing but an elongated version of your circle shape. Here you can see, right? So let me show you again how you can create or use this tool. Simply activate your slot tool and all the time use this straight slot tool, right? So activate the tool, straight slot tool, and then to create this slot shape, you have to define 2 points and the overall diameter or the radius of your slot. So first create first point and then the second point. So that will be the length of your slot, and then the radius of your slot. Click on the third point. And here you can see your slot just got created. Now the tool is still active. So all the time press escape on your keyboard to come out of the tool. Now activate the smart dimension tool and define the radius of this one. We want to make it 10. We'll press enter. So now it's got updated. Now we also have to define its length of this slot. So activate the smart dimension tool. So this is the length of this slot. Make it 20. Press enter. And you also have to define its position, right? At least one of the point, right? You have to define the position with respect to origin or from any fixed point. You have to define for at least one of the point, whether it could be this one, whether it could be the center, or whether it could be this one. Anything you have to define, then only it will become fully defined, right? So that is how you can create slots inside SolidWorks. Now the next tool into this list is this polygon tool. And from polygon, do you know what is meant by polygon? Polygon is like shapes having multiple number of sides, right? So what is the minimum number of sides of the polygon that we can take? Do you know, anyone? 3, correct. So 3, if we'll take 3 sides for a polygon, that will be, what will be the shape? What will be the shape? If we'll take 3 sides, what will be the shape of the polygon? Triangle, right? That will be triangle. If this is complete, Sachin is completely right. That will be triangle. So let's activate the tool, polygon. The moment you will activate the tool, you can see the tool is active. I have not created anything. I have not clicked anywhere. On the left side, still, can you see the parameter? In the parameter itself, first you have to define the number of sides for the polygon. I have defined 3. So if I have selected 3, and if I define the center point, you can see it's creating triangle, right? And if you'll click anywhere onto this space, triangle just got created. Now using the same tool, if we'll change this to 4, right? And now if we'll create something, it will be rectangle, right? Definitely. Now if we'll activate again the tool, and if we'll select this 5, or let's say 6, what will be the shape name? What kind of shape will create it if we'll select the 6 numbers of side? Hexagon, correct. So now if we'll define the center point, that will be a hexagon, right? So what is the maximum number of sides we can take inside polygon tool? Anyone know about this? No, it's not no limit. There is a limit for that. So I don't know whether it's applied into the SolidWorks, but if we'll try the same into AutoCAD software, that limit is 1024. So you cannot go beyond that. So 1024 is the maximum number of sides you can select for any polygon. Let's try that into SolidWorks as well. So we'll activate the tool, and instead of 6, let's make it 1025, little bit, and that is not taking. Can you see? It's automatically taking 6. So even if we are changing this to 1025, and the moment we are clicking on the screen, you can see, okay, so it is saying me that the maximum number we can take is only 40. right? So in SolidWorks, you can maximum number of sides you can consider is only 40, right? Not 1024, but in AutoCAD, that number is 1024. In SolidWorks, the maximum number is 40. So you got the idea, right? So this is how we can create polygons, right? So polygons is really useful. Let's say if you want to have a pentagon shape, octagon shape, hexagon shape, then in that case, polygon is super useful tool. And the moment you will activate the tool, you have to define number of sides and all this stuff. Now, there is one more thing. Like, for example, in this case, can you notice when we created a circle inside of a triangle, we got multiple profiles, multiple closed shapes. The first was this complete triangle. The second was this area that is highlighted. The third is this area that is highlighted, right? Now, let's say we don't want to remove this sketch feature. What we want, we don't want this region as separate. So what we can do? We can convert this sketch entity as only reference entity or a construction entity. And how we can do that? So that is very easy. Simply select the entity that you want to convert as a construction entity, select the entity, and then on the left side, you have to turn on this option that says for construction. And the moment you will activate this option, that entity just got turned as a center kind of line type. And because of this, it is not acting as a wall separator, I will say, right? So entity is still there, but it is not dividing this profile, triangular profile, into multiple areas. So this is also an option available inside SolidWorks. For this also, we can try that. See. So the moment you will convert any entity to convert the construction entity, this means it is still in the drawing or the sketch, but it is not dividing your profile. Right. So that is the thing. So, and that is how you can do. And to define all these profiles, we also have to define its position with respect to the origin, also the size of all the sides. Right. So these things you can practice at your end. And the more you will practice, you will have an idea like how defining or constraining the sketches works. Right. It's very easy. Now, there is few more things that we want to discuss. Let's say I had created a line from here to here. Now, the moment we figured out that the end point of this line, we want this to be connected to this point, right? But if you zoom out, you cannot find the difference, right? But if you zoom in, you can see there is a gap between the points. I want this to be connected, right? So how you can convert that? Either you drag the point and place it onto the corner, or the other way is simply select both the points by pressing Shift on your keyboard. And the moment you will select both the points, on the left side in the properties panel, can you see this relation that says coincident? So if you'll apply this relation between these 2 points, that means they will be coincident. So here you can see the moment we applied this relation coincident, that point just shifted to the next point. And if I'll click on finish, it just got moved up onto that point, right? Now let's create another line. Let's say I want this line something like this. See, as you can see, this line is starting from this point and going somewhere over here. Now I wanted this line to be sitting on to the midpoint of this line. I want this line to be getting started from the midpoint of this line. So how we can do that? Again, select the line, select the point, select the line and select the point. Here you can see line and point got selected. And if you'll see in the relation, there is a relation that says midpoint. And the moment you will apply this relation midpoint, you can see that line just got moved to the midpoint of the line. And if you click on finish, now this line is starting from the midpoint. So you cannot move it now because the relation is applied. You cannot move it now. But if you click on the point, you will be able to see both the relation, the midpoint relation and the coincident relation. And same, you can find it over here, midpoint and coincident, right? If you click on this point, for this point, you can see we have coincident and distance relation already applied, right? So that way you can apply different relation between entities inside SolidWorks. For example, in this case, we wanted to make this line completely vertical, but this is not vertical yet. So what we can do, we can select the line, we can apply this constraint that says vertical. Here you can see it became vertical. Now if I click on finish, now if I select the line, we will be able to see that relation that we just applied, and that relation is vertical relation. Can you see that? So that way we can constrain our objects across the space to get any shape, to create any shape inside SolidWorks. And this was just a demo like how you can create different entities inside SolidWorks. Now the next tool into this list is this spline tool. So spline tool is nothing but to create smooth shapes like curves kind of thing using this tool. So you can see the tool is active. I will define the first point. I will define the second point. I will define the third point, fourth point. So you can keep defining the points and it will keep creating a very smooth shape like this. And the moment you are done, you can make a right click. You can simply press escape and that shape will be created. So again, all these points are free to move because you have to define all these points one by one with respect to any fixed point. Otherwise, you can move these points and adjust your shape of your spline. Here you can see that. Adjust your shape of the spline. Also, there is one more thing. If you'll activate the spline tool again, now let's say you want some closed spline, right, to get profile, closed profile like this. So what you can do, click on the point. So you can clicking on the point, and the moment you want it to be closed, click on the start point from where you started. So click on the start point and that's it. You will get a closed shape that is a mix of multiple spline points. Here you can see, and all these points are adjustable. So that is the benefit of using this spline tool inside SolidWorks, and it's super powerful to get shapes, to create curves, to do surfacing inside SolidWorks. So if you want to create complex surfaces, aerodynamic surfaces inside SolidWorks, then definitely you have to learn to use this tool that is known as a spline tool, right? So any questions, guys, up to this point? Just let me know into the chat box, all of you, if you have any questions. Just let me know into the chat box. Or else just write N into the chat box, because whatever I am telling you, whatever I am teaching you at this moment, these are super useful, super important. So you have to practice all these things. And I can promise that we have kept only $4.99 for this course, right? Only $4.99, and no one in this world is going to give you such a value into this lower prices. And why I'm keeping prices? Just to segregate the spam into our learning courses or the contents, right? That's why we are doing it at very lower prices, because even to teach you for continuous 7 days or 1 hour daily, it takes lots of effort to prepare my content, to prepare and manage the courses and all those things. But still I just want to reach so many of the students who just want to get started at the beginning. That's why. So here you can see we just created this spline. Now the next task is to next tool into our list is this ellipse. And if you know, what are the two features we need to define any of the ellipse shape? What are that two parameters? Can anyone from the comments say what are those parameters to define any ellipse shape? So if you have studied ellipse shape A and B, and what it is known for, what is that A and B? Okay, I know it will take time to write you, but A and B is the major axis and minor axis, right? So whichever axis is longer, because ellipse is kind of a pressed circle, right? It's not completely circular. It's kind of a little bit kind of a hyperbola, right? So in that case, you need to define major axis and minor axis. So the axis that is bigger is known as major axis, and the axis that is smaller is known as minor axis. So if you click on this ellipse shape, here you can see again we have multiple kind of ellipse. So we'll use this simple ellipse shape, and to define the ellipse, you have to define first the origin point, and then any axis, it could be major or minor, and then the other point. Now, as you can see, this ellipse have one diameter longer and one diameter shorter, right? So the longer diameter is known as major axis, and the shorter diameter is known as always minor axis. So if you drag it and adjust the shape, the major and minor axis can be changed, right? So this kind of shape is known as ellipse, and this you can simply activate the tool, select the point first, and then define any of the axis and then the other axis. And now then you can define both the points, like let's say this one I want to keep 160, and this side from this point to this point I want to keep 100. So you have the full control. Now to make it fully defined, you have to define the at least any one point with respect to the origin or with respect to any fixed object, or you can also define origin or this one. So at least define one single point with respect to any of the fixed point. In that way, it will become fully defined. I'm not going to do that because that will be a task for you to make this sketch fully defined. Now, before we'll move forward, if you'll see if you'll go into a dashboard, because why I'm saying dashboard is always very important. So if you'll go into the dashboard and open this website, and if you'll go into your course, okay, so not this one, let me open the course. So we have an assignment ready for all of you. So if you'll go into the course, and then if you'll go into the day 2, and if you'll go into the assignments, here you can see I have given 2 simple sketches that you have to create inside SolidWorks. So I have provided all the dimensions and details. Just follow these and try to create this shape inside your SolidWorks. So you can see I have added simple dimension, and I will show you how we can add this angle into your sketches. Now, once you are inside SolidWorks, let's say this line, for this line, you want to add angle over here. Like if you want to define this angle, how we can do that? Activate the same smart dimension tool to define any kind of dimension, whether it could be angle, horizontal dimension, vertical dimension, aligned dimension. All the time you have to use this tool only, that is a smart dimension. So activate the tool, select the lines along which you want to provide your angle. So I will select this first line, and then we'll click on the second line, and then I can define the angle, whether on this side or this side. So which side you want to keep, you can define. So let's say I want to keep this side. So I will click first, and then I can provide the angle, let's say 45. So you can see the line just got adjusted to 45 degree, right? So this is how you can define angle for any object. Very simple. All the time you have full control to update the values like 30, 45, and you can make any angle like 32.33 or whatever you want to take. You can do that using this tool, using this same smart dimension tool inside SolidWorks. And so this was all about until this one that says ellipse. Now the next tool into this list is this. If we'll expand it, we have two new tools. The first is the sketch fillet, and then the sketch chamfer. So first let's talk about the sketch fillet. So sketch fillet, the moment we activated the tool, on the left side, can you see the tool is active, right? And the first thing, it is asking me to select the entities where we want to apply fillet. So fillet is nothing but smoothing out your corner edges, like apply an arc kind of shape into your corners. For example, here you can see we have a corner, right? And the moment I will click on this point, you can see our smooth radius is getting applied, right? So you can see the fillet is getting applied, but how much is the radius for this fillet? Here, from here you can control. Let's say I want to make it only 5. So I will change this to 5. I will press enter, and you can see the values are updating. And since I'm happy with this result, this is just a preview at this moment. Once you are happy with the result, you can click on this finish icon, and you can see the corner just got removed, and instead of corners we now got a smooth filleted shape. So this way you can apply fillet to any of your corners. It is not important that corners are always at 90 degree. It could be at any degree. For example, here these corners I can apply fillet. I will simply select the corner, and then I can enter the values, let's say 8, and I can press enter, and I will click on finish. And here you can see we had applied the fillet, right? It's very simple. So you can apply fillet to any of your corner very quickly without wasting time, and that will give you a smooth transition for any of your objects, features, or design using this tool that is known as fillet tool, sketch fillet tool. Now in the same fillet tool, we also have other tool that is known as a sketch chamfer. So we'll activate this sketch chamfer tool. So instead of fillet, if we'll select this corner, you can see what it will do. Instead of making it smooth, it will give it a cut kind of thing. So this kind of shape is known as chamfer. So if you're removing any corner and adding a slant kind of thing, then it is known as chamfer. So in chamfer, we have multiple kind of chamfer. So right now we are following with the equal distance chamfer. So in both directions, we have similar values, equal values. Now this value, let's say, want to make it 5. So you can change the values, and the moment you will click on finish, okay, so it's not updating. So what you can do, you can just double click on these values, and you can change these values like 5, right? So this way you can update the chamfer values. So chamfer and fillet are very important feature. Yes, after giving the dimension, any sketch dimension, you can simply select the dimension and press delete on the keyboard, and that will be gone, right? So, and if you had did it by mistake, you can press Ctrl Z on a keyboard to bring it back, like we used to have in any other software. It's an undo command, Ctrl plus Z. Right. So this way we can use this chamfer and fillet tool. Now next tool into this list is this text tool. Now let's say I want to add some text over here. So simple, activate the text tool, right? And then you have to first enter your text into this text box that just got open onto the left. So let's say I want to write 3D IST, right? So I had entered this text 3 dash, then I will click on the place. Okay, so I have to select the curve onto which I want to place my text. You cannot place text into the empty areas. Always you have to define some curve where you want to place your text, right? Let's say I want to place a text at the center of this position. So first I have to create a line like this. Then only I will be able to place text over here. Then I can activate the text tool. I can enter the text value, whatever it is that you want to place, then select the line and your text is getting placed. Now you can control all the text features from this list. For example, if you want to change the text height or fonts. So what you have to do is untick this option first, then go on to the fonts. And then the moment you will click on fonts, you have the complete option to modify this text, like the font style. Let's say I want to select this one, right? Cheeseburger. And then I want it to be little bold. I want the text height to be little bigger. Let's say 5. I can press OK, and you can see that font just got updated. So that is how you can create text. And the moment you are done editing your text, you have to click on finish. And here you can see the text just got created. Now I will convert this line to construction line. So this line is just text reference lines. That's why I converted this as a construction line. So okay, so could text be placed on a construction line as well? Yes. Yes, 100%. So this is how we can place text inside our sketch, right? Inside our sketch work environment. Still we are into sketch work environment. As you can see, we're getting this option to exit a sketch, right? Now the last tool into this list is this point tool, right? So this point tool is nothing. If you activate this point tool, you can if you keep clicking, you will create multiple points, and then you can define the position of the point. So point tool is also important, but we'll learn why it is important into the next session when we'll start 3D modeling. And it is useful to define the position of your hole into your bodies or the threads into your bodies. But creating points is very simple. Activate the tool and then click anywhere onto the point and it will create points, because points are having almost zero length, right? It doesn't have dimensions. It doesn't have radius. It doesn't have length. So it is just a point. You only have to define the position with respect to origin or with respect to any fixed point. That's it. Now, these were all the sketching tools inside SolidWorks. Now, until now, do you have any questions? Just write into the comment box now. I am here to answer you now. Answer your questions now. Just write into the chat box. Or else write N. Okay, so the angle, you want to learn how we can define angle, right? So let me create random lines. One line, something like this. One line, something like this. Another line, something like this. Right. Activate the smart dimension tool, because that is the only tool to define any kind of dimensions, whether it could be angle, straight dimension, horizontal dimension, align dimension, whatever it is. Activate the tool. If you'll select one line, it will add length, but the tool is still active. If you'll select the other line, it will start adding angle. So angle could be either in this direction or either in this direction. So the moment you will move your cursor, it will give you an preview. So let's say I want to add angle in this direction. So I can click anywhere around this space and that angle just got defined. Now I can enter the value and change it. Let's say I want to make it 30. So I can define it. Very simple, very easy to use. Now the next tool into our list is this trim tool. Can you see that? So trim tool, from the name itself, explained to trim down anything, any entities. So if we activate the tool, now let's say I want to trim this side, right? So the moment I will move my cursor onto the line, you can see it's highlighting this, that this will be getting trimmed. And the moment I will click on it, I will select it, I will click on finish. Okay, so it is not working. Okay, so not like that. What you have to do, activate the tool and then click on the screen and drag to trim any object. So whatever will come in the path of this drag cursor, it will get trimmed. Can you see that? And the moment you will leave your cursor, you will get a shape like this that is trimmed down something like this. Let's move on to this shape. Let's say I want to trim down these internal construction lines. So we'll activate this tool, we'll click and we'll drag. You can see that got trimmed. Then we'll drag further, that got trimmed. Let's try click, drag, and that got trimmed. And since it's a construction line, that's why it's not, this profile is acting as an open profile. So if we'll change this to this line, this arc to back to solid line, now they will start acting as a closed profile. So that is how you can use this trim tool. Then this one is not important. This will learn in when we'll do 3D modeling. Now the next important tool is this offset entities. Let's say for the same shape, you want parallel shape outside, right? So we'll activate this offset entity tool. Once we'll click on the profile, it will select the complete profile, right? You can see. Now how much distance you want to keep. Let's say I want to create another sketch just 5 millimeters away, right? So I entered the value 5 and a new offset sketch just got created. And if we'll select this sketch, right? If we'll select this sketch, can you see these icons? These icons are for offset icons. So this sketch we created using the offset feature. Now if we'll change the internal size, let's say I want to change it 8, the outer will automatically adjust. You can see the outer side will automatically adjust. So that's why creating offset gives you an added advantage, right? Now let's offset it further. Again, activate the offset tool. You can offset multiple times. Just select your entity and automatically it will give you a preview based on the last uses. But if you want to change the value, you can change the value and we'll press enter and it will be created. Like now this offset is 2 millimeter. All the time you can update this distance. Let's change this to 3. So like that. So this is how you can create offset, use offset tool. It can be applied for any feature, any closed shape. So just activate the tool, select your thing, and then you can apply like this. Now, let's say when you are performing offset tool, you don't want this complete shape to be offsetted. You only want this and this side to be offsetted, not the complete profile. How you can do that? Again, activate the offset tool, select profile, also select the other line. And here, can you see this option that says select chain? This option is active. That's why it's selecting the complete chain. So if you deselect this option, it will only select the values that you have selected. Only entities that has been selected is getting offsetted, right? So the moment I will click on finish, only these 2 entities is getting offsetted. Since I have turned off the option that was select chain. So now if I'll activate this select chain option, and now if I'll click on any of the A's, it will select the complete profile. And now if we'll change the value to, let's say 5, enter, and it is creating a new offset like this. So this way you can use the offset tool. Okay, so we got a question from Sudhir. Always all sketches filling? Yes. Yes, all the time, whenever you will create a closed shape, that will automatically be filled with this blue kind of color. Now let me show you. If you have created a sketch like this, now if we'll zoom out and we'll see, it looks like a closed sketch, right? Even if I'll place this then very close to this point, right, it looks like a closed sketch, but it is not closed, as we know. That's why this is not acting as a blue profile, right? And the moment we'll select both of the points by pressing shift on our keyboard, and if we'll apply this coincident constraint, we'll click on finish. Here you can see this is now a closed profile, but it is still not acting as a, yes, it is still a closed profile. It is not getting highlighted as a blue because we followed a different approach, but it's a closed profile. And that I will show you in the next session, like when we'll start converting these sketches to 3D. But it's important to have a blue profile like this. And if you're not getting a blue profile like this, rebuild your sketch and we'll see how it is going. You can see the moment we rebuild the sketch, it became blue. And why it was earlier, it was not blue, because maybe it could be a graphical processing power of your PC that is not acting instantly. So if you have a very good PC, these things will be visible at the instant. In my case, my PC is little slow. That's why this was like that. So I have to refresh the sketch. Anyway, so all the profile that you will close by the lines, by the arcs, by the mix of lines or arcs will always be blue. If it's closed from all sides, it will be blue. If we'll change any side to construction line type, again it is not a closed shape. So it's important to have a solid firm line to get any shape as a closed shape. Remember this. Now the next step into this list is this mirror entity, right? So the mirror entity is nothing like, let's say we have this circle, or let's say we have this rectangle, right? And if we'll create a line, straight line like this. So let's say you are a person, right? You are a person who is standing over here, and this is a mirror in front of you. So what you will get? You will get your reflection on the other side, right? This is what the mirror tool does. Like if you'll activate this mirror tool, so first thing it is asking me to what entities I want to mirror. So I will delete this one. I will select this and will delete it. Let's say I want these 4 entities to be mirrors. So I will select all 4. And here you can see I had selected all these lines. These lines I want to make a mirror. Now, mirror about what? Like you have to select the mirror line. So let's say this is the mirror line. So the moment I will select, you can see the preview, the mirror of it is getting created on the other side, right? And what is the benefit of it? If we'll make a change on this side, the other side will also automatically getting updated, right? So that is the use of mirror tool. And it's not important to have this line. Let's delete this line. Delete this as well. Okay, not this one. So mirror could be any straight line, like mirrors can be any straight line. So we'll activate this mirror entity and let's select all the entities first that we want to mirror. And in the mirror line, if I will define this line, again, this will mirror like this. Now, if we'll delete this mirror line, if we'll define this line, it will mirror onto that side, right? If we'll define this line, you can see it's mirroring on this side. So it depends like which mirror line you are selecting, and accordingly it will be getting mirrored onto the other side. Same like we used to have our mirror image in front of any mirrors, right? So that's how this mirror tool is working. Now the next tool into our list is this linear sketch pattern tool, and that is also very easy and important tool. First, let's decrease the size of this. Let's make it 10 and let's make it 8, right? So we have decreased the size. We'll simply drag these dimensions near to the object so we can read it better. Yes, like this. So let's say we have this ellipse and we want to make a multiple pattern of it, right? So the pattern is of 2 types, whether either it could be a circular pattern or it could be a rectangular pattern, right? So circular pattern, if you'll see any flange, the holes are on a circular pattern that is equally distributed on a 360-degree angle with respect to the center, right? So those kind of holes pattern are known as circular pattern. Now, what is rectangular pattern? I will show you now. So let's say we want to make a rectangular pattern of this object. So we'll activate this, we'll go and expand and activate this linear sketch pattern tool. So that is known as rectangular pattern or linear sketch pattern. So we'll activate this pattern tool. Now, the first thing it is asking me to define the axis. So the axis is already by default selected x-axis. If it is not defined, we can select something else. But now it is selected. Now in the instances, I will change this to 3 or 4, right? Now, in the entities to pattern, right now it's empty. So I will activate it first. Then we'll select this arc as an entity. The moment I selected the arc, can you see it's getting patterned by 4 number of times, and the distance between the pattern are 10 millimeter. That's why all of them are touching to each other. If you like increase this distance to 15, and if you'll update, you can see, right? It's updating. Let's say I want more numbers. I can change this to 5, or I can change this to 8. So that way I can keep creating patterns without creating all the objects multiple number of times by wasting our time. So just by using these pattern tools, we can simply create these objects multiple number of times, and all the times we'll have a full control about the distance or the spacing between them. So it's important. Just give me a second. Okay. So this is how you can create a rectangular pattern. And let's say you want pattern always towards the bottom. Like, so we also have the direction 2. So right now inside direction 2, y-axis is selected. So if we'll change the numbers over here to 2, you can see we are also getting the pattern onto the opposite side. Let's say I don't want onto that side. I want this to be opposite side. So I can flip the direction, right? This. Also for the x-axis, if you don't want it on the right side, you want it on the left side, you can flip the direction like this. Here I can see. Like let's change this to 2 to 4, 5. So here you can see 5 number of times, same ellipse is getting patterned, and the distance between all the objects we can control from here. Let's say I want to make it 12. So I can do that, and I have the full control of these objects. And the moment I will click on finish, here you can see we have created these multiple sketches using this linear sketch pattern tool just within seconds. Right. Now let's move on to the circular pattern. What is circular pattern? So let's create a circle first, right? And then create some circle anywhere onto this space and change this line to construction line. You can change it or you cannot change it. That's completely onto. So let's say if it's a flange kind of thing and you want this whole equally distributed onto this complete 360-degree angle, what you can do, you can activate the circular pattern tool from this drop down first. Just go and activate this drop down, click on this circular pattern tool, and here you can see the circular pattern tool is active. Now the first thing is to select your circle along which you want to make your pattern. So I have selected that circle, right? Now I want to cover the complete 360-degree angle, right? Then I will delete this arc from over here and will select this arc, right? Now what is happening? It's selecting some other point. So under the parameters, we have to select this circle. Okay, so the pattern is not getting created. Let me check. Activate the circular pattern tool. Very simple. Select the parameter. So let's first select the entities. Okay, so it's selecting that point by default. Y. And then the parameter. Yes. The moment you will select the parameter, you can see the pattern is getting created. So let's repeat it again. First, activate the circular pattern tool. Very simple tool. Activate the circular pattern tool. Go to the entities that you want to pattern. Let's say I want to pattern this circle. So I will select that and then come to the parameters, select the origin point along which you want to pattern. So this point will act as a center of axis for the rotation of your pattern. So now you can control the numbers. So let's say I want to make 10. So I can change the values to 10 and you can see this 10 number of circle is getting patterned within 360-degree angle. Here you can see 360-degree angle. And let's say you don't want to cover 360-degree. You only want these 10 circles to be equally distributed within 270-degree. So you can change this value to 270. And you can see it's only getting distributed until 270-degree by 10 number of times. And moment you will click on finish, you will get circles like this. And also, again, all the time, if you want to make an edit, can you see this 4 at the center? Just double click on it. So if all the time you want to make an edit, you again have to press Ctrl Z and repeat the same process. So let's repeat the same process. We'll press Ctrl Z. We'll activate the circular pattern tool. And there is one more thing that I want to explain here. First, select your entity and then activate the parameters and select the point. Now, let's say while patterning this thing, you don't want this circle. You only want 1, 2, 3 circle, but should be covering, let's change the value to 5. So you want to skip this circle. So how you can do that? So in that case, what you have to do, there is a setting at the bottom that says instances to skip. Activate this one, and select the entity that you want to skip. Let's say I want to skip this entity. So it's okay. Anyway, it's not working. Yes, you can see the moment I specified that entity center, that entity is skipped, right? And now if I click on finish, the same thing has been patterned by 5 number of times, but I skipped these entities. So we also have this option. So this way you can use this pattern tools. And then the last tool into this list is this move entities tool. So it's nothing like move tool. Like let's say you want to move something, let's say you want to move this complete setup. So activate this move tool, select everything, and then you can define the distances to move it. Let's say I want to move it 10 mm. So here you can see it's moving 10 mm towards X. And let's say I want to move it 10 mm towards Y. So I can move that. So it's very simple. I can click on finish and I can move our object anywhere across the design inside Sketch 1 environment. And the moment you are done with all the sketching part, you can simply click on this finish the sketch and your sketch will be done. You are out of the sketch. Now the dimensions will not be visible for you. Only sketches will be visible for you. And here you can see this is my first sketch. And all the time, if you want to make any edits to this sketch, make a right click and click on edit sketch, and you will be back again into the sketch work environment. Again, to come out of this, click on this finish sketch. So this is how you can work within sketches inside SolidWorks. And this is how you can use all your constraints to define its position, apply relations between multiple entities. Now it's the time to take questions. Let me know if you have any questions. So I can see one question: why the mirror image were not made when you changes the axis about to? See, if you'll make an edit, it is definitely going to made, but let's try it again. Activate the mirror tool. In the entities to mirror, select first all the entities. Then in the mirror about, select the axis. You can see it's getting applied. So it could be the reason, as while I was doing that, I have deselected something, right? Because SolidWorks will not create another line above the same line. That's why automatically it has deselected from the 4 line to this line, because the mirror line was almost the same. So even if you create the mirror, the line will be overlapping with each other. So SolidWorks is a little bit intelligent in this case. Here you can see, but we'll get our shape, right? So this is how we can do. And again, if you'll rebuild it, go to the sketch again, edit, like that. So now questions time, guys. Let me ask, sorry, please ask your questions if you have any. We'll take 5 minutes questions because we are already have crossed our limited time. So please ask the questions. Okay, so it is don't have any questions. Sachin also don't have any questions. So guys, all this recording will also be I will upload tomorrow by the end of the day. So before the next session, you will find the recording. So don't worry, and you will find the same recording onto the same dashboard. Also, I will be sharing the link of this recording into the WhatsApp group, so you can check out all these recordings all the time. So I can see all of you don't have any questions. So thank you so much for coming and learning with me. We'll see you in the next session. So that's it. Thank you so much, guys. Have a nice day. Good night to everyone. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Sachin. So now we can end this session, right?